All right, let's get right into it. We all think we know how digestion works, right? Food goes in, stuff happens, waste comes out. Simple. But what if I told you that what's happening in between? Well, it's one of the most powerful and complex processes in your entire body. We're going to go on a journey through our own digestive system to see how it's not just about food, it's about controlling, well, pretty much everything. So let's just ask the big question right up front. Is your gut's only job to break down that sandwich you had for lunch? I mean, we usually only think about it when we feel bloated or backed up. But what we're finding out is that the gut is way more important than that. It's kind of like the central command center for so many other systems in your body. First up, let's talk about your brain. Turns out your gut has this direct, high-speed connection to it. It's called the gut-brain axis, and it's basically a constant two-way highway of information. So if your gut is unhappy, it sends these stress signals straight up to your brain, which can fuel things like anxiety, brain fog, and even depression. It's this incredibly powerful connection that we're only just starting to wrap our heads around. And then there's your immune system. Get this. A massive chunk of it, something like 70% of your body's entire immune response, is located right there in your gut. It's the front line, the bouncer at the door, deciding what helpful nutrients get in and what harmful invaders get blocked. Here's the best way to think about it. Your gut is like the root system for your entire body. And if those roots aren't healthy, the tree, that's you, can't possibly thrive. It affects everything. So to really get a handle on our health, we've got to understand how this foundation works. So let's start our journey at the very, very beginning, the mouth. So you think digestion starts in the stomach? Nope. It actually starts the second food passes your lips. And these first couple of steps, they are absolutely critical. If you mess these up, you're setting up problems for the entire rest of the system. You know, we think chewing is just about getting food small enough to swallow, but it is so much more strategic than that. Just look at this. Doubling your chewing time, and we're talking from just 11 to 24 seconds, massively increases how much protein you can break down. Why? Because you're creating a much bigger surface area. It's like turning a solid rock into a pile of sand. Suddenly, your digestive enzymes have all these different places to attack. It's probably the easiest win you can get for better digestion, and it proves that how you eat is just as important as what you eat. Okay, so once you swallow, that well-chewed food drops into the stomach, which is an absolute acid powerhouse. This is not a gentle process, people. It's an intense chemical bath designed to break things down and sterilize everything. The ideal acidity in your stomach is a pH between 1 and 2. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that is almost as acidic as battery acid. And that incredibly harsh environment is non-negotiable. It's what activates the enzymes that start breaking down proteins, and it's what kills off most of the nasty bacteria and pathogens that you might have eaten along with your food. But what happens when that acid powerhouse isn't so powerful? It's a real condition, and it's surprisingly common. If your stomach acid is weak, food just sits there and ferments instead of digesting. That's where you get that instant bloating and burping right after a meal. Proteins don't get broken down, which means you can't absorb key minerals. And maybe worse, all those bad microbes that should have been zapped, they survive and get a free pass into your intestines, setting the stage for all sorts of problems down the line. All right, once the stomach has done its acid bath thing, this partially digested food moves into the next major stage, the small intestine. This is where the magic really happens. This is where food stops being just food and starts becoming you. And what happens here is this beautiful coordinated dance. The second that acidic mush arrives from the stomach, it's a signal. Boom. The pancreas releases a custom cocktail of enzymes. At the same time, the gallbladder squirts out bile to break down fats. It's this incredible multi-organ teamwork. And only after all that happens can the walls of your intestine actually absorb those nutrients and send them out to the rest of your body. But if any single part of that intricate system fails, not enough enzymes, maybe your bile is sluggish, you get something called malabsorption. And what that means is you could be eating the healthiest, most perfect diet in the world, but your body just can't absorb and use any of those amazing nutrients. And the signs that this system is failing, well, they can be pretty unmistakable. This quote from the International Foundation for Gastrointestinal Disorders paints a really vivid picture of what happens with fat malabsorption. If your body isn't breaking down fats, they literally just pass right through you. It's your body sending a very, very clear signal that a critical step in the assembly line has broken down. So far, we've only talked about our body's own organs, but now we get to the part that has totally revolutionized how we think about health, this massive, living ecosystem that exists inside of us. Let's talk about the gut microbiome.
Take a look at this number, 90%. Just let that sink in for a second. What on earth could that be referring to? It's a truly mind-blowing figure that honestly challenges the very definition of what it means to be human.
That's right, if you were to count up all the cells in your body, about 90% of them would be microbial, and only 10% would be human. We're talking trillions of bacteria, fungi, and other critters living mostly in our intestines. And they are not just hanging out for a free ride. They are an active, essential part of our biology. You could even call them a hidden organ. So what are these guys actually doing all day? Well, their job description is pretty impressive. They're like these tiny little biofactories breaking down fibers our bodies can't handle. They manufacture crucial vitamins, like K and B12, right there inside of us. They form a living shield, help train our immune system, and they can even influence the foods we crave. This quote really captures one of the wildest things about the microbiome. It acts as a mini-brain. It's talking directly with our actual brain. This is that gut-brain axis we mentioned earlier. And it turns out our microbes are some of the main players in that conversation. And to really understand how deep that mini-brain connection goes, check this out. About 90% of your body's serotonin, yeah, that's the famous happy chemical that regulates your mood, it's not made in your brain. It's produced in your gut, and its production is massively influenced by the bacteria living there. Your mood is literally being shaped by this inner world. Okay, I know this diagram looks a little complicated, but the core idea is actually pretty simple. It shows exactly how your gut talks to the rest of your body. Think of your gut lining as a very smart gatekeeper. When it's healthy, good stuff gets into your bloodstream, bad stuff stays out. But if that gut lining gets damaged, all sorts of things can leak into your system and travel everywhere, to your liver, your muscles, even your brain. This can trigger a low-grade body-wide inflammation, which we now know is at the root of so many chronic diseases. This is the mechanism that connects a problem in your gut to a problem in your whole body. Phew. So after that quick trip all the way from your mouth down to your microbiome, let's pull it all together and see what this really means for our health. So let's wrap this up. The big thing to remember is that digestion isn't just something that happens to you. It's an active, complex process that you can actually influence, starting with something as simple as chewing. And those trillions of microbes, they're not just passengers, they're essential partners, actively shaping your mood, your immunity, and so much more, every single day. At the end of the day, a healthy gut is truly the foundation of a healthy body.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. Now that you've seen just how fundamental your gut is to, well, everything, the question isn't if it's important. The real question is, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to support this critical foundation?